Good day traders, welcome back to the RMDTRADER Weekly Market Fix. As always, we are glad to have you on board and look forward to sharing our thoughts on the markets this week. Some highlights to look forward to is a potential bear flag setup on Bitcoin, a possible interim bottom in gold, and a correction on the NASDAQ. Kicking off this week's Market Fix, let's have a look at cryptocurrencies. First of all, we do have price currently trading mostly sideways, but also in a small bullish channel. But looking at the middle of May to about the beginning of June, we had a very similar event happening where we had what was more likely to be described as a corrective move, or in this case a bearish flag. So we can see that we have our upper boundary currently well defined, and that also coincides with the untested monthly pivot and daily 50 SMA at 23,400 to about 23,500. So that area could potentially give us a selling area, and from there we are looking at a test of the lower boundary once again, sitting at 19,600. A break below that would of course give us our target between 14 and 14.3. That also, looking back, is the full head and shoulders target that we've previously identified. So that is what we will be looking for this week, is a test of the upper boundary and of course a test of the lower boundary as well, and that possible break that we've been waiting for. Looking at gold, gold is heading into deeper support levels. We are looking at our yearly S1 at the moment, which is sitting at 1,680. That is also just below where we have the new weekly S1 pivot. And just looking back to last year, March, we can see that we had a test of this area, or this zone, twice, and then also once again in the beginning of August. So it's possible that we might see a similar occurrence happening at this stage, where we have a test of this yearly S1 and then of course a correction. A correction could then see price head back towards this area of our monthly S2, which is sitting at 1,750, and the retest of this longer term trend line would be at the daily 50 SMA, which is at 1,810. Looking at Brent crude oil, also we are looking for a full target of this complex head and shoulders pattern that is sitting in the vicinity of about 90 to perhaps, if we are conservative, 92, 93. That's why we also have our yearly R1. At this stage we are finding some support from this daily 200 SMA. That's the red line that you see on the screen. So we'll have to see whether we're going to head back up into this area of resistance, also the neckline and yearly R2 at 107, or whether we will head back lower. And I'd say if we take out Friday's low, it's very possible that we will see this yearly R1 being tested. Moving on to our indices and looking at the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ also still consolidating. At this stage we can see that we are still trading below our major moving averages. On Friday we had a close right back at that daily 50 SMA, that's the green dotted line, and at this stage I'd say we are looking for either a break above this SMA, also this upper diagonal. That could give us a correction and a test of the daily 100 SMA, coinciding with the weekly R3 at about 12,900. From there I'm quite certain that we will see a rejection, as we did in the beginning of June, and that could then drive price towards our full head and shoulders target, and that is between 10,000 and 10,500. 10,500 also where we have our yearly S2. Just looking at that lower boundary again, which is currently acting as support, that's also coinciding with the weekly S1 at 11,600. So a break below that would of course also trigger that bearish move. Moving on to our Forex, and I'd like to look at USDCAD. USDCAD, as we've previously mentioned, has been trading in this bullish channel, and we have expected that we will see a test of the upper diagonal boundary, which we of course then saw on Thursday. At this stage we are seeing a strong rejection of this upper boundary, also coinciding with the monthly R1 pivot and yearly R1 pivot. So it's possible that we could see a correction back towards the center of this, let's call it the regression channel, and that's where we have some support from, first of all, the 50 daily SMA at 1.289, and there's also some support closer to the center at the monthly pivot, which I believe is untested this month. That's sitting at about 1.282. Only if we trade below that we would expect another test of the lower boundary, but of course at this stage the trend remains bullish, and a deep correction is not expected, but rather a small correction, possibly followed by a move back towards the upper boundary. Looking at another one of our forex pairs, the EURGBP, what I like to point out is the fact that for the first half of the year we have seen mostly consolidation in this area between about 0.825 to 0.847, and that is the zone that I've highlighted in light red. We've had a breakout, of course, from that zone, with a test coming to with price coming back to test this area, and at this stage we are looking at what is possibly another test. The difference being, of course, this time we are seeing a convergence of a lot of levels of support. So we have our daily 100 SMA, the daily 200 SMA, all converging on this retest level. And just looking at our Fibonacci retracements, if we draw the Fibonacci levels on this last move from the lower end of this channel towards the high, what we do have is a perfect retracement towards this 60-61% level. So that would mean I am expecting a continuation to the upside. Initial target would be 0.853. That's where we'll have some resistance from the daily 50 SMA and weekly R1. Should we see a break above that, I'd say we could quite likely be heading higher towards the monthly pivot once again, close to these last swing highs at 0.860. In terms of failure, so if we do fail at any of these levels and we see price heading lower, I would expect a test of the swing low from Wednesday last week at 0.841. That will conclude our video for this week. Thank you for watching, and remember, trade smart and trade successful.